There we go.
There
Yeah,
we go.
I had been okay. Hey everybody who's just joining us. Okay, so we're late, like actually just getting started. I wanted to have this conversation with you because me and Cynthia have a Telegram channel that we started for the podcast. It's called the American States Assemblies. I was trying to
Yeah, it's
remember.
on Telegram.
It's on Telegram.
In my mind, I'm following it, but
You might be. I think she said you are, and I don't know because Cynthia does this, like this her jam. And so she kind of runs it. Um, I'm learning about Telegram from her. I didn't know you could do all this stuff on Telegram because frankly, to me, Telegram looks like WhatsApp. And
yeah,
and it's like you have to kind of keep up with it, and I just don't have energy for it. But what I like about it,
there you are.
do you see it?
Yes, I do. Oh, I thought I was on here, but it says to join. So I'm going to click join. Is that all right?
Yeah, no, we want you to join it. The reason I was actually, what I would like, I wanted to find out from you if you're interested. I think it's important that we show some unity and organization and cooperation in the leadership because all anybody's ever seen is Anna and then Terry,
hmm
and then Anna and then Terry, and that's it. And, you know, that isn't obviously just working. There's something happening, there's a veil, and we're 100% transparent. There's no secret society, no secret rooms. You don't need to be my bestie. I don't need to like you very much or whatever because, we're all supposed to just be able to participate. And we have to just be able to respect and honor each other. And as long as you're just being honorable, it's fine. And if you're not being honorable, we're just going to be like, yo, like, this is not what we're doing right now. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And we're wanting everyone to get together and practice talking in honor with each other, like actually.
hmm
And I think the only thing that anybody wants is relief.
Yeah.
And the only way they're going to get it, because thank you very much for the recording. I was so mad I couldn't get in that day. I was like waiting for the Thursday night class. And I was like, okay, how do I get there? What's going on? And I literally spent the whole evening trying to figure it out. I was like kind of exhausted. And I said, Cynthia, what's up? Like, where is it?
Mm.
And she's like, there's a bunch of people. And I was like, okay, whatever. I only want to follow it because I just want to hear what Anna's saying. I'm documenting it. I'm writing things and, using, and then I can ask her about stuff on the show. And because the only way we're going to get relief, and she says very beautifully, and I clipped it from I like that. You should be publishing it on Rumble. I don't know why it's a secret. It should just be published on
Oh,
Rumble.
it is on Rumble. But
Oh,
we
okay.
do it based on there's a Mop and Bucket channel. So
Mm.
if you follow the channel, you should get it.
There's no videos on the channel. Like if I follow it, it doesn't show any videos.
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Okay.
I was able to see the video you sent me, like the link worked,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to watch it. But if I was to try to go find it, I'm not gonna ever find it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I made it not searchable because of
Well,
who was asking for, I forget who it was that was like it's supposed to be for coordinators or people who are coordinating.
no, it's not. Anna like
Okay.
literally put it out on an article and invited anybody and
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
to show
yeah.
up because everybody, first of all, should just be watching it anyway to
Yeah, they should.
see. They should just be learning what is a coordinator supposed to do so that when your coordinator's doing something, then A, you can find out if it's legit, and B, you can also just stop bothering them when they're doing their job
hmm
because it's a hard job.
It's a hard job. It's a thankless job.
I mean, I'm not seeking thanks. We're seeking solutions and we're seeking relief. And if we have to do it by ourselves because somebody else can't get it done for whatever the reasons are or whatever, we don't care. All we're interested in is getting all the states seated and not losing our land.
That's right.
Because Anna did her work, but in 50 years, somebody got to do it again. Or we need to just be in position. And if that's not the case, then you are going to get usurped or whatever. So just go
Mhm.
ahead and get ready.
Yeah,
And
annexed, right.
well, annexing is if anyone in the republic is doing that.
Well, but
Usurped,
it could happen, it can happen to states. It appears that it can happen to counties.
what I
So,
mean is that it could be France could just come and
yeah.
usurp. Like somebody should be watching. And I don't think they're really understand. They're like, Anna already fixed that. Okay, Anna fixed it. She bought us some time. She
Mhm.
also has it set up in case anything happens to her. If she dies, then but there's a set amount of time. And, the idea is that everybody just needs to get I'm glad you're doing that, whatever that one class is over and over again. Somebody needs to just
Yeah.
do something like that over and over again. But like, how about record it and then we just need to tell everybody, okay, did you watch all of this? Here's a test. What we need is a really good online test that we know can actually show us that they comprehended whatever it was that I'm not an education person like that, so I don't understand how to create that test. But it would be really cool for somebody to create the test that goes behind those.
Did you do the sign in America?
I did.
That yeah, that one was a decent, at least I thought so, a decent, explanation about jurisdictions, and it really kind of got my mind thinking along those lines about these sort of like, staying in your lane kind of a thing. And
I think
um
it was a little too easy to
yeah,
not really pay attention in the way that you should.
right.
I mean, they make it so you can pass the test.
Right.
So, I just mean
You're thinking more along the lines of the Continental Marshals test or something like
well,
that, where they've got to really, really study.
I think that we have the adults obviously, between the brainwashing and between the indoctrination and the mind control and all
Hmm.
the variables and all of it was coming. I mean, we really aren't educated
No,
correctly, properly, or
not
whatever.
at all. Yeah.
And the only reason I was able to follow Anna faster once I found her was because I've already been like not operating in the orthodoxy for 15 years.
Hmm.
I mean, everything I was doing was against the system to the point where they were like, "Okay, you're the rogue food leader for, whatever." And I'm like, "I'm not rogue. I'm actually right.
Hmm.
Like they're rogue."
Yeah.
But they think that I'm rogue because they think that I'm illegal. And I'm like, "But I'm lawful."
Right. Yeah, because you're an actual, you have a farm, is that right? You grow all your own
No,
food? No, what do you do?
no, I'm Indian. It's like
You can't be Indian and a farmer at the same time.
it's so funny. Like, we're the best slaves. We're the best ones. We were just super programmed and, we're the doctors and the attorneys and the whatever and all the stupid whatever, all the de facto. That's us. That's us, right? Because super extra programmed into that. But my story is a little more complicated. I wrote a book about it because we actually had a child that was medically murdered, and
Oh.
then but she taught us how to heal the body with food, and then I've just been in that realm. But if you're trying to help parents remediate their children's health or their own health or whatever, then you are making claims. You are if you're going 100% against the de facto. So,
Right.
they're after you. So, and then this litigious society, right? They're all going to come after me. So I created a food church so that I could have free speech. I wasn't doing it for taxes, even though that turned out to be a kind of a benefit thing. But it was for the fact that I could, like, if you were in my church, then, I can say whatever I want to say.
Mhm.
And you can just leave my church if you want to.
Mhm.
We don't care. But you can't hold me like you can't hold me responsible for any chaos and confusion you create for yourself
Mhm.
just because you're irresponsible. Like, either take responsibility for yourself or don't. But isn't that the whole de facto way? Like, don't be responsible for anything. Like, somebody else
Yeah.
is responsible.
Yeah, they live in the world of avoiding liability, right? It's all about like liability avoidance, which is really a sick system because then nobody's accountable, right? They've got
Mhm.
public-private partnerships and layers and layers of, bureaucracy. No one really,
Compartmentalization. It's the
yeah.
compartmentalization. Okay, so that's what's been happening, right?
Mhm.
That's what's infiltrated our organization is this. That's the reason Anna's doing the classes, right? She's training the coordinators because of the compartmentalization that infiltrated and has created a bunch of division and chaos. Isn't that what pretty much happened?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what the impetus was for her to say yes, but yeah, I've been going to these Sunday trainings for a while now since my state used to have many coordinators, right? And so one of my accountabilities wasn't to be on the trainings. So I was not on those trainings. We had somebody else that attended every week and then would report in about what we need to know and whatnot. And then when it was just left to me, then I thought, oh boy, I better get myself involved in those Sunday trainings.
Mhm.
And so started, learning and paying attention and realizing that, gosh, I wish that Anna was teaching these
Mhm.
classes, right?
Why did you feel that way?
Well, it just felt like, sometimes there were things that didn't feel right necessarily, or, not putting blame on anybody, but just
Mm-mm.
didn't feel quite right or didn't make logical sense.
Mhm.
And so I guess it was like what late October, I think. There was a particular meeting, and I just said I just wish that Anna would come on and train the coordinators, you
Mhm.
know? I
Mhm.
think that we really need that, And then so I
Yeah.
reached out to her and she said yes. And I was like, sweet. Okay, great.
Good.
So
Well,
we
I'm
started
glad
this.
I'm glad you did that because we didn't know how it happened, but I'm glad you did that. That's good.
Thank
Well,
you.
that sounds the same way as like I wasn't trying to do the podcast either. I was actually doing my own little thing and I was trying to help my farmers understand how they could take, like own their land, how they could get their land grants. I was trying to explain to them they need to come back to the land and soil. And my work has always been to reestablish the small family farm food system. Like that's it.
That's
And
amazing. Yeah.
so, yeah, so I've only been focused on that. Well, they can't do that because every single thing that's in the way of them is because of this de facto crazy. Well, once I figured that out, because I've been running my food church, and the reason I was able to run it the way that I did is because I would invoke my jurisdiction. Well, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that that was what was giving me my power.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's wonderful when you know how you have your power because then you can actually use it properly,
Right.
And so once
Yeah.
I learned that part, I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. But like, I was actually trying to figure out, people wanted me to do a food church conference and to do like workshops to teach them how to do what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, just do it. Be brave. Like, obviously, you can't just do that. And then I was like, what do I actually do? Like, what am I doing? You start like writing it all out. You try to start creating some curriculum or something. You're putting it all together. And as
Mhm.
you're starting to like dissect the things that you've done and how you do things and what you do, because I've been up against the USDA and the FDA and the CDC and everybody. And why do they care that this mom is trying to sell some regenerative meat to people? Like, what is the problem?
You're the greatest threat. All you need is a Bible and a gun, and you're like the greatest threat that ever, like, you're like their
Right.
worst nightmare.
I mean, honestly, and
Oh.
like they've invested so many hours in trying to shut me down.
Mhm.
And I'm like, dude, like one of our grocery stores in the state of North Carolina is feeding and servicing 10,000 households. I'm
Wow.
I am not at all even serving
Wow.
100 families. Like, what is your freaking problem?
Mhm.
But they're right on my front door.
Well,
What?
they're not profiting off of you. That's the issue. You're taking away their profit, right? So it's like if
Right.
you've broken out of their matrix system, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They're going to accuse you of being corporate, and they're going to accuse you of stepping on their toes and stealing from them. It's like almost like a form of theft in their world, which obviously is not the case. That's not the truth. The truth
Right.
is,
Mhm. Oh, I'm gonna kill people. That was what they're
oh,
they're
that's what they
they're
said,
oh,
probably.
I mean, people are gonna die because they're gonna get sick, and I'm gonna make them sick and it's all my fault. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, like you guys are crazy, okay? And so anyway, um it it was in the process of that I was like, okay, but our little operation, whatever it is, it puts enough pressure that we went from not having any organic feed in our state to having an organic feed, a whole place. Now, there's small things that are happening. Homesteads are coming up. There's people that are putting pressure, people that
Mhm.
are asking questions. And this is happening because it turned from grassed meat to whatever this regenerative movement. Okay. So
Mhm.
now it's a whole different thing. And of course they keep changing the names because, they patent the names or whatever they do.
That's what
And
they do.
and I'm like, okay, whatever it is that is aligned with the universe, we operate under natural law. Then I met Anna. I was like, oh, praise the Lord, because I'm exhausted with these making up these new one more word.
Right.
And so I was like, good grief. So now it's so brilliant that we can just do this. So I told Anna, I go, I just want everybody to learn how to do this, get all the farmers, anybody who is a landowner back home. And then everybody else can figure it out like after that. If we just get the main food producers secure, get our food secured, because
Mhm.
really that's what we need to do anyway, you know.
Absolutely. Are you connected with now you mentioned like local farmers. Are you connected with farmers all over the country? Is there like a network of farmers, or how does that work?
We do not have farmers in America, like not
Sorry.
really.
Is that one of those de facto terms?
No, actually, what it is that there are homesteaders. And I'll describe the difference, okay? So there's
Okay.
homesteaders, and then there's farmers, and then there's um, agriculture.
Okay. Is it about scale? Like, is it
Corporate
about?
ag, yeah, it's corporate
Okay.
agriculture.
Hmm.
So corporate agriculture is literally just poison. It's
Mm.
it's 100% poison. It's all the plants monocropped, which is never going to, it doesn't work. It doesn't regenerate the soil. It doesn't provide actual nourishment, and it is ruining the landscape around the world.
Mhm.
It is what desertifies. It is the reason why Egypt went from being a jungle to a desert. And then they
Oh
desertified
man.
Israel, and Israelis know. And then they ruined Florida. Like they collapsed the citrus industry, and they've I don't know, they've raped California 15 ways. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
the reason that you have fires is because their husbandry is not on top of they're not performing the correct husbandry.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not anything
And they
else. And
and
they
they
know
divert
how
the
to
water. They divert the water
well,
and they send it out to the ocean.
They don't understand that they don't have to do any of that if they would just run animals on the land. They have to regenerate the land using livestock, period.
Mm.
Full stop. You must have beef. Full stop. Buffalo. If you don't, then you are going to die because you won't have water. You cannot have and preserve water if you don't have migration of these large animals.
Wow. You know what? You should be teaching about that. That's
Well,
important. Like,
so
I didn't know
Al
that.
Alan Savory Alan Savory spent his whole life teaching that.
Wait, Alan's, is it like Savory?
Uh-huh, Alan Savory, he's now like 90. He's one of my mentors, and I read his books, and I've known him, and I've talked to him, and I've met with him, and he's South African. He lives in Florida now. He's fully retired. Michigan State University decided to take his work and create the Savory Institute. Now it's lies and bullshit. So you can't really, like,
Oh.
all his work has been like manipulated. But the good news is that when Alan speaks, which they don't like him to speak, they don't like to put him in front of everybody, then he speaks the truth. And so, I've met him, we've talked. He's been on, like, I'm partnered with the Solitans in Virginia, and he's spoken, they all know, everybody knows each other. It's not that big of a, like, just all of us, how we all can talk to each other, like they can too, right? So it's not like we've all talked to each other and we all kind of know. So, like, Joel Soliton is one of my mentors, and they're our business partners. His son Daniel and I are partnered, but they're in Virginia. And Polyface, Joel is like he's probably at this point, he's, I guess, the father of regenerative agriculture, because he's alive and knows it. And then there's like Gabe Brown, and there's a few others. Um, but they're standing on the shoulders of a lot of other people. So
Mhm.
it's something new. It's not something I just made up or whatever. But these people have been teaching it forever. And
Mm.
so,
Wow,
like,
I've never even heard their names before.
so Alan was the only one who all he cared about was regenerating the soil, and he knows how livestock can convert deserts into jungles. That is what he knows. And so his projects are all over the globe, but he focuses on the most heavily desertified areas, like Africa is fully browned, and
Mhm.
Australia is browning, and North America is browning, after the Dust Bowl and all this other crazy nonsense that these people have done. So we just all are going to keep pushing the needle. So when I found out about our North Carolina American State National group, then the first thing I said to Dominic was, "What are you going to do about the food?" Because nobody cares about coming back to America or the land and soil or whatever if they're going to be dead.
Right.
And these crazy people are literally, like, we have the largest CAFOs in the world in North Carolina.
What's a
And
queso?
CAFO, CAFO, a confined animal feeding
Oh,
operation.
yeah, yeah.
So the largest CAFOs are right here.
Mm.
And they're owned by China, and Biden and all of these people, whatever. It's the mafia. What does she call them? The K, whatever they are, mafia, Kazarian, or whatever they are.
Kazarian.
Yeah, it's those guys. I mean, because they're the ones who own China, who run their money through there, and then bought all the stuff, just like they own all of the West Coast ports, and, they own all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so the first thing I told him, I said, the first thing we want to do is get our court stood up and throw them out of our state. Number one, step one. I said, and we need to empower our producers because we were an agricultural state, but it used to be like real agriculture, like what you want to call it, organic or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Like, call it anything, but I'm saying we were operating naturally as intended by nature pre, 1940, 1950. But we can go back to between 1905 and 1915. That was when all these systems were centralized. It was when Rockefeller and Carnegie wrote the Flexner Report, which they recorded with Congress and said, hey, anybody who is practicing medicine, acknowledging the body has energy should not be funded by Congress. What? Okay. And then that, of course, went on to rape and pillage every system, right? The
Mm,
medical system, the school system, the food system, the
yeah.
everything. So it made sense. I knew about all of this other stuff. I had no idea about this piece, the government piece. Now I've been, by the way, watching that whole lunchbox thing that she told us to watch, the
Oh,
lunch
yeah.
break.
About
Oh
the
my,
old world.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Now I'm just
MLB.
like, yeah. I mean, when I'm watching that, I'm like, oh, we're so stupid.
Yeah, we are.
We we really believe this crap. Like, I've been all over India. I've been to the Taj Mahal and to the Lotus Temple and all. And my one of my cousins is an architect, and we went to the Lotus Temple, and he's telling me about how each of the, walls is both convex and concave at the same time, and how it's incredible and blah blah blah. And we're just like, wow. I mean, I was 19, granted, when I did that with him. And so, I'm 19. Like, okay, this is awesome. Yeah, okay. And also, I don't really care. I'm not thinking to myself like, why do we not know how to do this at all? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else going on anywhere else in the world. Like,
Yeah.
we're not putting all that together.
Yeah. Did you ask him, how come you don't build stuff like this?
Right? I mean, now I'm gonna like I mean,
Yeah.
now I want to say to him, you were studying all this stuff, and you were taking me to all these places. Why have you never built anything?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too was mind blown is about all the, the height and the
Yes.
dimensions of all of these buildings and this mud flood and
Yes.
how these buildings are virtually indestructible and
Right?
all the stonework and the incredible detail. I'm like,
What about all the buried pyramids? Okay, so this is funny. We went with the kids because we homeschool and everything. We took them to Fort McHenry, which is
mhm,
where they wrote the Declaration of Independence. And they did all this stuff that's, I mean, it's super historical. You get there and you're like, this place is like so small. Like, what kind of army was this? You know? And also it's kind of buried under grass and soil, and I'm like, after watching the lunch break thing, I'm like, oh my God, I bet you this is a whole pyramid. Like, a whole nother thing is underneath here. And they're only letting us see a little bit of it because it makes
yeah,
absolutely no sense. Like, how are you fighting a war with this?
yeah,
Like, even when you go to the Alamo, have you been to the Alamo?
no,
Girl, if you ever go to the Alamo, like my mall over here, our mall is bigger than the Alamo. And so I'm like, you know, how are they fighting? Like, they're defending Texas from this thing that looks like a preschool building.
oh
What?
man,
You're just like, are you sure? Like, this is it? Like, this is it?
yeah.
It can't be this. It's got to be something else.
Yeah, no, they've socially engineered generations of people. They call it dumbing down, and it's that
Right.
way. Absolutely, 100% true. They've
Yeah.
done like the look over here strategy for long enough that we have generations of people like you and I that were absolutely clueless. And so,
Right.
here we are waking up, woken up, awakened, um, and trying
Something
to
snapped
explain,
out of it. Yeah.
snapped
Well,
out.
when you come out of it, like we got out of it, 15 years ago because we lost a child, and we're just like, oh, I mean, I just started teaching all this stuff. But like like I said, I was coming from this one path, but anyway, when I walked into this, I felt like, okay, there's nobody holding this together.
Right.
There's nobody that you can have like because I operate on nothing but the truth, okay?
Mhm.
After everything that happened to our daughter, everything that we went through, I'm gonna tell you something. I do not operate in my opinion anymore. I don't have an opinion about anybody. I don't judge anybody. I don't really care, okay? We didn't care about trying to live or anything really, but we had two surviving children. So like, you're wanting to make like the best thing, you want to make the best decisions, and you don't want them to fall into the trap of these murderers,
Right.
you know. And so when all this is happening, to me it's very important that we walk in truth. And then here they are now, rapidly, like, oh, you can be a boy, you could be a girl, you could be a this, you could be a that. Oh, morality is relative. No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not. It is 100% objective, okay? And
Mhm.
it aligns with the truth, and the lies
Yeah.
align with immorality, and and I will never shut up. I will not shut up. So just so you know,
Good.
that's where I'm coming from. And
Good.
and and so when I did a dissolving illusion series, because I've never actually had time to do a podcast because I've always been involved with everything that's going on with farms
Mhm.
and working on my mission, right? The small
Mhm.
family farm. Well, I can't do that if I don't bring it back to the land and soil. So I did the dissolving illusions thing. And at the end of it, the last day of it, I interviewed Anna. I didn't
Mhm.
think I was even going to be able to get her to even do the interview, right? So we do the interview and she's like, "This is great. La la la. We should do this all the time." I said, "Well, I wanted to try to do this every week, but I know that you're so busy and blah 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 and whatever." And she's just like, "Oh my God, let's do it." And I was like, "What?"
That's
And
awesome.
we
Yeah.
were just like, I was like, I really wasn't even serious because, I don't even do my own podcast right now.
Mhm.
But then I thought, this is what I have to do because this is how we're going to help actually get the farm set up. Like, this is the way I need to do it.
Mhm.
And so then I said to her, I said, okay, first you need to know that this is my agenda. And I told her, I said, this is what I have to get out of it. Like,
Mhm.
we need to be able to get all the farms to be able to protect their land, and mineral rights and
Yep.
own it and not have to have taxes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to go to them and talk to them about this until I can give them money. Like, I want to give them an order of, here's a menu of what we need for our state. Who's going to produce these things? And here's how much we're going to pay you. And you have to do it this way so that it's real. Because we're not going to, why would we support the de facto poison food system?
No, we wouldn't.
Okay, well,
No.
if we're
No.
gonna correct the food system, then we need to legit do that. So that means you have to run livestock. This whole vegetarian vegan agenda needs to be in the trash. And yeah, that's coming from an Indian woman who is medically like been damaged from all the vegetarianism. And by the way, did you know that the Hindu uh deities like Krishna and Ram and all of they were shepherds.
Oh,
They
wow.
were they weren't gardeners. They weren't no gangster gardeners, okay? So like Krishnji he used to raise buffalo. That means he ate buffalo. He wasn't a vegetarian.
Mhm.
You don't raise livestock and eat vegetables, okay? That is not what works. That's not what happens. Jesus had lamb. He was a shepherd. I mean, yes, he was a carpenter, but everybody was raising their own food, or else that's how you had to do it. So he was a shepherd. He was not a gardener. He wasn't teaching anybody how to grow gardens. He wasn't.
Yeah.
And the same thing for if you look at every religious, you know, holy whatever, they were all nobody was a gardener. Like, not a single one of them. I started actually studying it, like this lunch guy. And you know how you go to the building and it's always 1800, it's always blah, 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 it's
Right.
always a fire. Every time I would do that with the religions, it was the same crap. I was like, oh my God, this is weird. Because I had to help convince a lot of people that you need to eat meat or you're going to die because you're like completely anemic, you're malnourished, all these things. And they were just like, you can't say that. Like, wheat is holy. And I'm like, no, it's not manna. If you think that that's manna, so is everything. I mean, so is anything.
Well,
Because like,
who else teaches about meat and you mentioned buffalo and stuff. I'm like, is it buffalo? So Dr. Wolfson, you probably know all about Dr. Wolfson.
I
Um,
don't know him.
oh yeah,
That's interesting.
he's been on the eat meat. He and his wife actually, they both are chiropractors,
Mm-hmm.
but they teach
Which
people.
Wolfson? Wolfson what? What's his name?
What is his? You know what? Let me just check.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
Jack. I think it's Jack Wolfson.
Jack.
Wolfson.
Yeah, well, I was all about regenerative meat, and
Yeah,
then
check.
of course, I mean, I wasn't really trying to be like all carnivore or whatever, but that is what it is. And also, I mean, at this point, so this is the other thing, like Sean Baker and I talk because he's the one who actually came up with, I guess, the popularized whatever, carnivore diet. And
Wait, who was it? Sean Wilson?
Sean Baker,
Sean Baker. Where did I get
Dr. Sean
Wilson from?
Baker. I don't know. Why does it
Okay.
say, oh, wait, I'm trying to get um, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
funny that he's a cardiologist too. That's so funny.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Dr. Heather, I got to hear her speak in out in Scottsdale last
Dr.
month.
Heather who?
Wolfson.
Oh,
It's his wife.
oh, okay. Well, I I would be telling you to listen to somebody. I don't know this guy, but I'll check him out. Check out Dr. Okay, so my friends are like Dr. Chafee, um, Dr. Anthony Chafee, um, Ken Berry. He's over here in Tennessee.
When you go into a ketogenic
Oh,
diet, you
whoa.
go into
Oops. I was gonna just share his channel with you.
Yeah, you can.
And Ken, he speaks with well, we're friends. He's in Tennessee, and he wrote a book called Lies My Doctor Told Me.
Oh, right. I've actually heard of that. I
Yeah.
haven't checked it out, but I have heard of it. Yep.
So he feels like he has completely was not honoring his oath. Like he was murdering people because
Mm.
he was vaccinating them and doing all this stuff. And he feels a weight from that.
Mm.
And so he has dedicated his whole career now. And he made it his mission to grow, well, with the encouragement of his wife, to like go whatever crazy on YouTube. He's got millions of followers. And Ken wants to learn about Anna's work. So
Oh, good.
I told Paul I want him next time we go to Tennessee, because we meet in Tennessee twice a year for this Self-Reliance Festival. And I told him that I really want him to come with me because all these people come there from all over, from Hawaii, from Texas, from everywhere. And this last time, Dominic and I went, and he and I did part of my Dissolving Illusions series, because I've been always going there as a rogue food leader.
Mm.
And, I've been talking about my mission, the food and the blah, 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 and the whatever. And now it only really makes sense for me to say, okay, everybody, if you want to learn about how to do what I'm doing, like people have wanted me to do a food church workshop. Well, I haven't done it because I can't just tell you to just go do it and be brave. Like, I need to tell you how to do it. And so,
Yeah,
the,
some of us kill house plants. You know what I mean? It's like, how do we do that?
right. I was like, so I need to be able to tell you something substantial. And so, we had a roundtable discussion because they couldn't understand, like, what could I be possibly trying to explain to them about this? And
Mm.
for them to hear that, we were usurped and our government is not our government and blah, blah, blah. And we are the government. We still have our power, but we just haven't shown up. And you can actually invoke that power and, surprise. And, because I was telling them, I said, I was trying to figure out, like, what was I doing that was so incredible that they would come try to shut me down, and I would be like, no, no, thank you. And you're outside of your jurisdiction. And also, I'm shaking in my boots because I don't know if they're going to believe me or not or whatever. But now that I understand, I thought it was some other jurisdiction. I didn't understand the land, air, water part.
Mm-hmm.
And so when of course I know that now I'm just like, oh my God, I can take this 500 ways, because now I know exactly how to proficiently say anything, whatever I have to say. But I was doing it already. And they told me, I mean, Anna was like, that's brilliant. They told me that I was a self-proclaimed governing body. And I was
You're like,
like,
that's right. Thank you.
I guess so. I was like, okay, I'm just a mom and we just don't want to eat crap. Okay. Like, we want to eat
Mhm.
real food from farmers that we know, and we don't need you to be in the middle of that. So bye.
Are
Like,
they still harassing you or have they left you
oh,
alone?
I mean, they could come by at any time. Like they show up. They're always coming by wanting to make sure, wanting me not to be there. You know what I mean? Like if I travel to go speak or do whatever and I can't like let somebody just run the shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Everybody's like,
Wow.
you don't have any help. I'm like, okay, I know that you think this is just a grocery store, but but they don't want anyone to be able to buy raw milk. They literally would come in. They're dying to come in. If I let them in, then I've contracted with them, right? So
Right,
then
right,
they'll just take everything because that's what they do to other people.
right. That's right. That reminds me of what was happening with Tony Roman in Southern California, down in Orange County, at his Basilico's restaurant. Um, and I don't know how many lawsuits from state of California, county of Orange, whatever the
Mm,
city, Huntington Beach, I think it is. Um, but he just stood firm, and he was like, he would meet them at the door and
yeah.
be like, "You're not coming in."
Oh, yeah. So my door is locked. We have a Ring doorbell
Mhm.
and we have a membership. So everybody assumes it's a PMA. And I'm like, no, I just keep my door locked because you should just know how to behave. So I interview people and I explain to them what we're doing, but there's more to it. Like for regenerative meat, that's a whole, I could talk to you about that for like hours, but like the long and the short of it is you've never paid for food ever. You've only ever paid for distribution
Mhm.
when it comes to stores. And all the farmers, all the actual real producers are held enslaved. I mean, we're enslaved in this way, but they're enslaved actually with loans on loans on loan, like
Right.
millions and millions of dollars. They've never been paid ever. They've
Yeah.
never been paid for the food. So when people are like, why would I pay you this much for a hamburger when I can go to the grocery store and get it? I'm like, because you're not paying anybody. You're never paid their farmer ever. You have never paid for the food because
Yeah, and
they're,
it's actually really, really it's a bummer. My on my parents moved here in the 60s,
mm,
but they came from Canada.
mm,
I still have relatives there, and there's a whole, on my mom's side, all of these farms and family farms, dairy farms, and they grew corn, they had maple
mm-hmm.
syrup, all kinds of stuff, right?
That's
And they're
very
like,
valuable land.
"Oh yeah." And
Mm,
they would of course hunker down in the winter and all of that, but they,
mm,
unfortunately, there are no more family farms left because of the encroachment of,
mm-hmm,
at the time, I believe it was Monsanto, coming in and regulating all these farms, and it made it virtually impossible. They kept having to, put liens against the farms just to
mm-hmm,
stay compliant with
mm-hmm,
all the new stuff they were required to do to the animals, to the soil,
mm-hmm.
to the.
Which were suggestions. The regulations are suggestions. But if you want to do business in the centralized system, then you have to meet, this. Uh, and so I tell everybody this is the parallel counter economic strategy. And so it is for us to put pressure on them because we're not supporting them at all, 100%. We do not comply. We do not comply. We do not comply.
Mhm.
If you want protection from this de facto government, then go to the grocery store. And if you want to get real food, you can come here and be 100% responsible for yourself. And if you misbehave, I will close your account. And if I close your account, you will never eat here again. And I will blast your name out to everybody in North Carolina and let them know who you are so that they understand that you do not respect real food. And then they are taking a risk in doing business with you because the only thing you have is your word,
Mhm.
and your word is a lie. So I want them to know who you are. And when I started putting people on blast, because I've only ever had to put like 4 people on blast. And because most people were just like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" I was like, "I will totally 100% put your name on blast. I will not hesitate."
What did they do that was such an offense that warranted that? Like, did they lie, cheat, steal? Like, what did
Um,
they do?
they come in and they're like, I'll tell you, like one lady, she would every single week complain about her milk and her eggs.
Mm.
She would never pick up on time. She would never do whatever. She would want me to hold it, and I did. I used to hold stuff for her. And I don't hold anything for anybody anymore, but at that time I did. And and our eggs are good for a year. If you get fresh eggs out of a chicken, they're good in your fridge for up to a year. If you don't
Wow.
bleach them and do all the things to them, yeah, they're 100% fine. If you keep them refrigerated properly, dirty, like don't wash them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you take them straight out of the chicken nest and put them in the fridge, they'll last for up to a year. I mean, you're not gonna keep them for a
Wow.
year, but, like,
Right, right.
they will last up to a year. We
Mhm.
eat them within, weeks, months, because you just rotate food, but anyway, um, I don't, by the way, sell eggs that are a year old either, but they
Right.
I teach people they should rotate eggs, 'cause, anyway, but the milk is raw, and I'm like, "Okay, if you can't come here every 3 weeks and then want us to replace the milk from 3 weeks ago because you didn't pick it up for 3 weeks,
Right.
you know?"
Yeah, the
N
milk is gonna not last quite
I'm
as long.
like,
It'll go sour.
right. I'm like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that." And she's just like, "Well, you have to do that." No, we don't have to do anything. Also, no. Also, no, we're not doing it.
Mhm.
And so she was treating us like we were Harris Teeter or whatever your grocery store is. And I was like, no, that's not how this works. So then she called a credit card company and she stopped all her payments. So basically, she stole food from the farmers, right?
Wow.
And that was why I closed her account and I put her on blast. And then I told everybody, this is what I'm going to do to you if you ever do this, because this is 100% wrong. If you don't like what we're doing, if you don't agree with what we are doing, just go away. Like,
Yeah,
go
no
do
no
some,
one's no one's forcing them to stay, right?
right. Like, go do business somewhere else. We don't need you here. So that's how I operate with everything.
Mm.
Like, I don't understand. I have a zero tolerance for lies. Like, why are you lying?
Mhm.
Just no. There wasn't another fire, right? It wasn't. You can't burn stone. No, I'm just,
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's so funny. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to join us on the Telegram channel. Me and Cynthia want to start. We want to do everything to get everybody in a race to get their 4 pillars up, and we want
Mm,
to make it fun, and we want to share information, and everybody can use it. But we want them to understand we will not entertain any de facto conversation. We don't want to talk about your curlers. We don't care
right.
about your, the whatever's happening with your kids. We don't care about your grandma. You know, this is on, we don't care
Well,
about your, yeah, we don't care about
yeah.
your boyfriend and your fight with your husband and whatever else. We're literally, are the 4 pillars up? Oh, they're not? Okay. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, that's all. We want people to bring their questions casually, and we wanna grow our assembly, so we have all these new people. They come
Mhm.
in already, like, I got a guy right now, he's gung ho and he's all excited, and Dom's on vacation, and everybody's, like, trying to get their breaks in or whatever, and he's just like, "Okay, am I supposed to, like, file, like, all these notices and blah, blah, blah?" And I'm like, "No, stand down, chill, relax." And he's like, "Stand down? What kind of language is that?" And I'm like, "Okay, it means calm down, like, welcome home. Please just watch for the first, 3 months. Come to the meetings, listen, talk to people, hear what's going on. There's a lot happening, like, welcome. Also, you just dove in at Christmas. Thank you. That's awesome. Also, there's a bunch of we're just 100% volunteers."
Mhm.
And he's like, "These people at GFG are not nice." And I'm like, "No,
Right.
there's just a very few of them. And
Yeah.
there's like thousands of you, and they're serving the whole globe. So have grace. It's Christmas time. Like, people are just, Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, whatever. I don't know what you do. Like, whatever it is, it's that time. It's the time to just chill. So, be nice." To which he tells me he doesn't feel very welcome and whatever, some wah something. And I told Cynthia, I was like, "Okay, I'm not talking to this guy right now because he's very sensitive. He's very upset about everything. And it's the reason why I would like to be able to hand him a plethora of videos and just be like, here, boom.
Yeah. You could send them the one I dropped into the chat. Uh, it's called Yay, I'm on the Land. Now what? And it teaches them about the 4 pillars, and it teaches about, easy notices you could do, like your declaration of political status and who to send it to. And
Okay.
but
Well, our state does some of that.
okay, good.
So
Yeah.
like the only, I guess we have to just go in there. Some of the things our states did for him. So like, I guess I got to listen to what you say just to make sure that, like, let him know what would be different. The only thing that he
Yeah.
really needs to do is our Secretary of State, Blinken,
Mm-hmm.
and the IRS notices.
Mm-hmm.
Like this red hot minute.
Yep.
But
And the voter registration, he has to terminate that. And
that's part of him being able to record. It's part of our 928 package.
it's weird. California is a little funky because, and that might have been part of our problem.
Oh.
Because it wasn't part of our packet when you got, like when I got my status corrected in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't part of the packet. It was like one of those things I had to do when I was done. And so I did, but it wasn't,
Yeah. Well, it wasn't part of our packet. Our packet, okay, we've been through not what California's been through, but we've been through, this is our 4th coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And he's only been on the job 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy before him, I didn't know him. And I'm glad I didn't. We wouldn't have come back to the land and soil if we'd have known about him. I think God is great. And like, if we'd heard, if we were brought in around that time, we wouldn't be part of this at all, because he was a joker. And there was just like, we don't participate in crazy, like that's crazy. But
yeah, I'm guessing that if you were joining the California Assembly around that time, you would have thought the same thing. I can't deal with crazy, because it got crazy.
Yeah, no, any of the crazy stuff we don't do crazy. And
Yeah.
anytime somebody starts behaving that way, I'm just thankful that our coordinator is like, look, we're trying to get our 4 pillars up.
Yep.
So this is the only thing that we're doing.
Yep.
So whatever you want to do, you do it on your own. We're not coming to help you. We're not going to bail you out. Don't call me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, get your 4 pillars up. Because we got, we have like a lady, her husband's in jail.
Yeah.
She legit,
One.
yeah, we've got people who shouldn't be, that are being abused. Legit, we want to help get them out, but we can't do anything if our courts aren't up.
Right. No.
Right.
No, we had our elections this summer. And so we've got all of our positions filled on the land, which is amazing that we finally accomplished that.
Wow.
What we need to do now, though, is focus our energy on counties. And so we were originally going to follow the footprint, the plan of action that Alaska did, and do the 1 county model. But Anna let us know this week that no, there's no provision for that. There's no such thing as a 1 county. And so I'm grateful that we haven't like done any major activity that we have to now undo. It was dialogue at this point. And so it's like, whew, she just saved us a whole election period,
I think is that because wasn't there somebody there on California who had the idea that one state was to empower the whole nation or something? Is that what you mean? The same way, like 1 state could empower the nation, so 1 county could like empower the whole state? Is that why?
Yeah, well, the way that I understood it, by paying attention and learning from what Alaska did, was, if you can imagine, Anna talks about the layer cake, like there's the land underneath the soil.
Yeah.
Well, the way my brain processed what I was learning was, well, you got to have your land elections to stand up your land court, and get those 4 pillars up with the militia commander, and we have our justice and the whole court thing. And then we also have our international and interstate business assembly chair.
Mhm.
getting those subcommittees all formed and everything. So I thought, okay, we have to do that for the soil too, so that we can have,
Oh.
so that we have jurisdiction at the soil level. And then
Oh.
once we claim it,
Oh.
then local counties can just do the same thing, stand themselves up, but it's just kind of covered for everybody until
Mhm.
we're populated and competent enough to
Mhm.
um have every county stand up, because some counties are very rural and have one, some counties have nobody yet
Yeah,
stand.
you can't do that. We've learned that we're not pushing for the counties until they're all populated
Mm-hmm.
because they're not. And we have 100 counties and we only have 40 something being represented right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we can operate as a state.
Right.
So we're just going to get the state situation going.
Mm-hmm.
And then we once the state's set up, we can't anyway have anything to do with everybody's little county things. They're gonna have to do it on their own.
That's right. Well, and that's, that's local.
Right.
That's the Republican form of government, which is when, locals are really encouraged to
Yes.
stand up and not be bullied by these corporatists,
Yes. Yep.
Mhm. Encourage
Well,
them to stay
what do you
competent.
I think that I guess the big deal was that I wanted to ask you about that. I wanted if we're all on the calls, which I don't know what the schedules are going to be or anything like that, we could just wing it and figure it out, like, play it by ear and see what fits for everybody. But I thought it would be very cool if we could at least have once a week something where all of us are on there and we just open. So on Telegram, you can just open the thing up where everybody can just start coming in and it's just casual, casual, but organized in the sense of, we respect each other and speak one at a time or whatever. Um, but if they see all of us there and we're like, okay, just bring your questions. And, you know, especially the basic stuff.
Right.
Anything that we don't know, we'll just say, okay, bring that to the show, bring it to the podcast, bring it to the coordinator call, whatever. And we'll ask. But what are you guys, like, what are your questions? Welcome new people, you know, and they're going to ask all the same, you know, whatever the
Oh,
3 to
yeah.
5 things or whatever it is. But
It's over and over and over again. Yeah, it's the same. But you know what? It's fine. It's
yeah,
totally fine that people ask the same questions.
they
It's
need
it,
to
it
hear it and they need to
Yeah.
be able to have somewhere to go to ask it. And they want to be able to speak it. And they don't want to have to just be trying to like search
Right.
like
Yeah.
random. And if we're just saying, hey, if you really want to do a good job, get involved in a committee on your state. If you have counties set up, get involved on your county.
Yeah.
Like, and when we have a bunch of people from different states and counties across the country, everybody can share their experience.
Mhm.
You know, you guys have way more experience with a lot of stuff than we do. You have way more people. I don't even know how you would be managing thousands of people, you know.
Well, the good news is we don't.
How many do you guys have?
Well, how many we have and how many participate are two totally different things. But
Well, yeah, yeah.
we have, there's like 1,500 in our database, which actually isn't really that much,
For
for
California.
how large California is.
Sure.
So, but we have about 15, give or
Yeah.
take. We've lost about 100 to, like, they've self removed their emails from our database. But so it was closer to 1,600, but still, out of
Mm.
that number, I mean, we have like 5% that show up or something.
Yeah. I mean, but how many people are active? Well, everybody's not going to be active anyway, but like,
No, yeah, not everybody's active. We have pretty consistently somewhere between, 35 and 50 that show up to our General Assembly calls every week.
oh, yeah.
So it's a decent turnout. Yeah, it
Well,
fluctuates, but
everybody, like originally people were getting upset that, everybody just doesn't come. And we're like, they don't have to. This
Yeah.
is not
No, we're a
mandatory.
we're a jurisdiction.
Right. This is not mandatory. And we're
Mhm,
like, the more people that help, the faster we can get the courts up.
mhm.
But outside of that, they don't have to. So, you know, it's it
Yeah.
it's coming along. But I don't know. What do you think of my idea?
Well, so if I comprehend what you're saying, you're encouraging that on the Telegram,
Mhm.
that what coordinators, who, just kind of
Anybody,
anybody?
anybody.
Just you want to, your vision is to start up like a Q&A forum where people can just,
Mhm.
we can have like a weekly meetup kind of a thing where we're all on there and then questions come in and we can field those questions and deal, just deal with those in real time.
Right. I mean, you're working and paying attention and hosting Anna. I am too, me and Cynthia. The three of us together, if we do this, then, and whatever we don't have answers for, we can find out, like say to them, we don't know. We'll find out, you
Yeah.
know? And that's it. Nothing big, but everybody's practicing talking to each other, practicing just being honorable with each other
Hmm.
and seeing that we're all just interested in, we just want to get our courts up.
Right.
That's all.
That's it. Yeah, that's
And
it.
and everybody from anywhere across the country can come there.
Hmm.
And anytime they come, like we had somebody come there last time. We've been just opening it. We're going to do it anyway, but it would be nice to do it with everybody, like people across the country. I just thought I would call you first. I was like, I think you should totally be there. And you might not always be able to do it. It's like not a mandatory thing. But
Yeah.
like, if you jump in, even if you hang out for a little bit, and we have a time difference, so I don't know how well that works for you. Right now, me and Cynthia have been jumping in like around 8 o'clock our time,
Evenings or mornings?
evening.
Evenings. Okay. So it's
So
like
that
five
turns
o'clock.
around five
Yeah.
o'clock your time. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's good.
Well, it would work. It just kind of depends, don't get divorced. Okay. It sucks being a single mom because,
Oh,
because,
everything's on you. Yeah.
yeah. And so, but I share, we do this 50-50 thing. And so when I have them, I have things like sports and jockeying around and doing all of that kind of stuff. So it just kind of
Sure.
depends.
Yeah.
But in a typical, in a typical sense, I should be able to do it at least half the time, if not more.
Yeah. Hey, if you were to just pop in, we'd just be like, oh, look, Michelle's here. Great. Boom. And then encourage anybody around you to come. Anybody anybody you think, anybody from anywhere across the country, people who are just wanting to, share, to talk and share.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's great. It all happens in dialogue anyway.
Right.
We encourage people to go out and talk to their friends and family and neighbors and coworkers and tell them about the assembly. And if they can be empowered with information that
Yeah.
fills in, blanks for themselves, then why not? Yeah,
Everybody has to have practice talking.
that's right.
And they can't really just go out and talk to people who don't know anything about it.
No,
And so
no.
that's the reason we do it. Because
Hmm.
then they can just come and they could just say, well, can I ask this really stupid question? And they'll just, I'm like, that's not stupid. That's fine.
Yeah, there really are no stupid questions,
No.
especially given how we've been,
Yeah.
trained to not be able to think for ourselves, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I
And
have I have so much grace for people. I have so much grace for people. I
yeah.
used to be a lot more impatient. I'd be like, we got to hurry up and do this. Like I was in a hurry.
Yeah.
And so I had to like stop and take a breath and go, okay, wait a minute. People have PTSD. Okay. I don't need to add to their PTSD.
It's
Um,
really true. It's
yeah,
true. They're like, wait a minute. I just found out that every single thing I was told was not true.
right.
And so, like, yeah, I know it's a lot. Anyway, that was all. And then I wanted to thank you for like helping me get connected with the weekly sessions and for sending me the recording. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. And I've added your email address to the invite list.
Okay.
And so when I blast out the link for, this coming Thursday night, then
Okay.
you'll get it automatically. So It should go
Yeah.
out by Wednesday. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm like, I just want to be able to listen. And, for us to keep listening, and then every single time she talks, we learn
Oh,
something else anyway. So there's
yes.
that, you know, but
Yeah.
cool. Well, and I'm going to check out your channel.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the same class over and over again. And
Well,
every
good.
week, sometimes that, you'll probably hear, you don't have to listen to more than once because it's the same class, but some people come back over and over again and they're like, "Oh my gosh, every time I listen, I hear something new that I didn't hear last time?" So
Well,
it's
I
almost
think
like
we have to, because they programmed us on repeat with lies and immorality forever. So
right.
so we have to be able to have an opportunity to not listen to that. And the more that we talk to people, that's what me and Cynthia are saying, is the more that we give them an opportunity, a channel to be able to speak.
Mhm.
And what do you call it? That Mattermost thing was a
Oh,
nightmare. It was awful. And we don't want to have that again. And but we want for people to, I mean, like, we can post in that Telegram channel something that we share with each other, and everybody can get it. And it's relevant because we just talked about it. And also, we had to talk to each other. Also, we
mhm.
had to speak with each other, like, with respect and honor. And if you didn't jump in the call, you didn't jump in the call. We don't care.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. And so they can otherwise watch the recorded thing,
Mhm.
of whatever else. We're not gonna we don't record those. We just keep doing them. So people just keep talking. So
Almost like a virtual hangout, I guess, kind of a thing where people
that's
get together and just chat.
yeah. And I never thought that that would be something I would ever be thinking that's a good idea. But, it is. And whenever we've done it, sometimes it'll go like an hour, sometimes they'll go 3 or 4 hours, but you don't have to hang out
Mhm.
for the whole time. Nobody has to hang out the whole time. If
Right.
there's some folks like really have enjoying the conversation, and,
Mhm.
me or Cynthia can keep the channel open, then we'll do
Mhm.
it. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'm like familyless because they're all doing stuff. It's not often, but
Right.
when that happens, then, or we
Yeah.
all get busy doing our own little thing, and I can be sitting in another room, and it's because we're not on video or anything, we're just talking.
Mhm.
So that's all I wanted to ask you.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, thank you for thinking of me. I think that's super cool, and I appreciate the invite a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ask
By the way,
anybody.
oh,
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, no, no.
Finish what you were saying because I had a side topic to ask you really quick.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and change the subject. It's fine.
Where in North Carolina are you?
I'm in Youngsville, and
How
we work in Raleigh.
how far is that from like the Ashland area?
You mean Asheville?
Asheville. Yes, Asheville.
Asheville's the mountains. So Cynthia is in Buncombe County, which is right near Asheville, and that is in the mountains, near Tennessee, and
Okay.
and we are in the middle.
Okay.
We're in the Piedmont in the middle.
I was super active in the health freedom community
Mhm.
for roughly 10 years. I mean, I'm still part of it. I'm just not doing the political stuff anymore that I was doing. But a
Mhm.
whole big old group of friends bought a bunch of acreage up in Asheville, and then
Mm, mhm.
they they all moved out there.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if it's anywhere near you, but it sounds like it's not that close. Okay.
They're closer to Cynthia, and we actually go to Cynthia's and do events over there, and we would invite them. And I might know some of them. I don't know, because you're talking about like the health freedom, and like I was part of the Vax group, and
Yeah.
Polly, like I actually had Polly, Tommy, and all of them
Oh
stayed
yeah.
with it. They came and had dinner at my house.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah, we
yeah.
we have crossover there.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I hosted the Vax bus, because when the Vax bus was coming
Uh-huh.
through Raleigh, then, all of the people that were the organizers locally, I mean, we all know each other, and they were like, "Niti, we can't take them to eat anywhere else. Like, you have
Right.
to help us figure the food out." And I was like, "What?" Like, I was really like caught up in a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "There's no restaurants. You can't take them to a restaurant." They're like, right. And I think what they wanted to say was, will you cook? But they wouldn't just come right out and say that.
Right.
And so, I mean, I was just like, what do you want from me? Like, I really was not understanding what they wanted. And then I said, and then Liza called me one more time and I'm like, Liza, I said, listen, there's nowhere to go. Just bring them to my house and I'll cook dinner. Like, I don't really understand what you want. And she's like, okay, we'll see you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, how many people can.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that's what you wanted. You just wanted me to cook. Like, you could have just told me that. And
That's so
so
great.
it was funny. That was actually the time that Polly and Dr. Suzanne Humphreys and Forrest
Mhm.
Moretti all met each other for the first time at our dinner
Oh
table.
my gosh, they're all amazing people.
Amazing people.
Yep.
And it was like and actually from that world, I was supposed to, or I wasn't going to, but they kept asking me to come with them January 6th. Like a
Oh.
lot of the local vaxxed group people here. And I
Mhm.
said, I don't protest. Like I'm
Right.
doing my protesting with the work that I'm doing
Right.
every single day. I'm not going to DC. And they're
Mhm.
like, you really need to come. I'm like, no, I don't do that because I'm not interested in trying to tell them how to run things. I'm just not participating.
Right. You're protesting with your feet and your dollars and your yeah.
Right. I said, we
Yeah.
have created I mean, like, this is a counter economic parallel, strategy. And and I don't think anybody ever really understood that,
Mhm.
for a long time. But we actually lost one of the mothers from here, from Raleigh.
What
She
do you
was
mean
killed.
lost?
She got shot. She literally was killed.
On
And
January 6th?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. I
it
didn't know
was
about that.
awful. I was just like, I mean,
Oh.
that's why when everybody's like the Sixers, they were crazy. I'm like, no, there weren't. I mean, I wasn't there. And so I do know that there was the media blackout, which was, I know that from all the moms that went and
Mhm.
all the things that happened. But they killed a mother who was just there because her daughter was, vaccine injured.
Mhm.
And now she doesn't have a mom either.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
It's,
that's
it was awful.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I was like, and then, so anyway, yeah. I've been trying to get those people to come because we do monthly, like educational opportunities for people to come and learn about the
Mhm.
assembly at the food church. So I host a meeting.
It's great that you do that. Yeah, people need to know. And I think the health freedom movement is ripe for this. And by the way, you said Liza?
Uh huh.
Is it Liza Cotu?
Uh huh.
Oh my
Liza
gosh.
Katu.
Yeah,
You
I
know
know Liza.
Liza?
Uh-huh.
I love Liza.
Yeah. I mean, we're not super close, but I definitely remember her from being on the East Coast somewhere, and it took me a minute.
Yeah, I love Liza. Yeah,
Yeah.
Liza was so funny. She's just like she's the one who was the point person. And I guess Bella was organizing it with her at that year.
Hmm.
And then of course Bella got married. So but
Right.
they can't the Vax bus. I was supposed to babysit the Vax bus the second time they came. And it literally broke down 10 minutes from my house, which is why they retired it. They
Yeah.
took it, they took it like, and that was when they were with the Australia girls
Oh, right.
and they came over and I mean, we picked them up from the side of the road. So we had to go pick them. They were on the way to the house and I was supposed to babysit the bus for the week while they, all went on break and they didn't want to have to drive the bus all the way back to Texas. And so they were going to park it with me and then they were going to go take a break and then fly back.
Hmm.
Well, they couldn't even get to my house. It was awful. Poor
Mm.
Polly was just like, "This is stupid." And Jonathan, my husband and Jonathan were sitting on the side of the road waiting on the tow truck guy for however long, and it was that was a mess. And I didn't think they were ever gonna get it back on the road again. I was surprised when they did, but
Yeah. They revived it.
she goes, "Niti, this bus is like," it was one of the, what were the floods in New Orleans from the hurricane?
Katrina?
It was part of a Katrina. It was part of the Katrina whatever mess that had been in the flood or whatever, the
Oh,
bus.
okay.
And I was like, oh Lord, that it was salvaged from that, and then they had like fixed it up or
Oh.
whatever. So she was like, yeah. I said, I truly thought they would never put it back on the road because they would just make it part of the Texas Museum, where they, because she has the land, right, where they
Right. They're
want to do
doing
the
the
thing.
I always forget what she calls it, but yeah, they're building that thing outside of Austin where, not far from Dell's studio and all of that. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Dell Studios there now?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Just outside of Austin. Or I think technically it's considered Austin, but there's so many counties in Texas
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
easy to cross county lines
Well,
in Texas.
the suburbs right there are right around Austin are like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of like when you're in LA, but you're in Pasadena,
Right, exactly.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought he was still out west.
No, no. He was his home burned down.
Oh,
Hmm. And so he packed up his family and hightailed it out to Texas. And now, I mean, like, hello, he's the communications director for Bobby's campaign, and he's
right.
got ICANN, and he's doing the high wire. And I mean, things have just like,
Well, they
yeah.
all decided to join forces. The last time I saw Polly was with Bobby Kennedy when we were, well, when Catherine Austin Fitts came to
Hmm.
Tennessee. So I was there, and that was interesting because I was like trying to talk to Catherine, and I asked Anna, I go, how come can't Catherine doesn't know you?
Yeah.
She's like, she can't. She's coming from such a compartmentalized background that she cannot even put her. I said that's why she don't like me because I kept the way that I talk is about the jurisdictional stuff, even though I didn't understand the jurisdictional. Like at the
Hmm.
time, it was before Anna, right?
Hmm.
And and I was like, why is she like, she was all at first like, hey, Niti, la, la, la. She has my book. And, she's been a big supporter of my work and all the stuff. And it was really awesome to like just meet her in person.
Hmm.
And then the more I would ask her about stuff, because I was trying to talk to her about the land grabs, and what we're
Right.
trying to, I mean, I'm telling you, I was trying to work on the land for the farmers. And she was just like, um, the more I would ask, the more I would, get into this thing. Then she was just like, no. And I was like, why? And then when I talked to Anna, I was like, oh, I was really pushing like jurisdictional boundaries. And,
Right.
but I wish I knew how she looked at it because she never would actually like let me know.
Well, you know what? I think that they get, first of all, she's super smart, right?
Right. Right.
Incredibly smart, but she got
Yeah.
so high up in the ranks in the US,
Yeah.
financial world and the whatever it was, housing and urban development or something. I forget exactly what her
Right.
department
It
was,
was,
but
yeah. Yeah.
she, super smart, and it just butts up against all reality of like it's either a cognitive dissonance that's just super hard,
Mm.
or they know and they're like, you're getting a little too close. You're getting a little too close. I'm not allowed to talk about that, right? I had one of the health freedom attorneys last year.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I guess it was in like July, August, something like that,
Mm.
who literally on an email told me, never contact me again. You're a terrorist.
Who said that to
Yeah.
you?
Well, I don't want to put it on blast on a recording, but it was Rolf
Uh,
Hazelhurst. Hmm.
oh. Well,
Yeah.
I only know, well, I just know that, oh, of course my mind is totally blank. Like I can see, you see your friend's face and you're just like, wait, what's his name?
Yeah. I respected his boundaries, and I haven't contacted him. So,
Wow. He called you
but
a terrorist? Oh, because you were talking about Anna's work?
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was trying to
Yeah.
express this to the health freedom community. It was my
Right.
world for 10 years.
Girl, that's where I'm
You
coming
know?
from too. They
Yeah.
cannot even hear it.
They
Because
can't
I
hear
thought,
it.
I mean, all of the ones, and they're all worried about, like, they were all at that conference, worried about their money, worried about all the things. Hello. you 100% should be on this boat.
Yeah.
And none of them are. It's absolutely unbelievable. I try to
Yeah.
talk to them, and they are just like, they think I'm crazy nutso now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what happened? Oh no, where'd you go, Michelle? Like, I'm right here.
That is, I know it's really strange. I'm so like, I'm confused about that. The Whappers can't get it either. Like, I
The
don't
what?
know. The Weston A. Pricers.
Oh, right. Which is, I mean, they're amazing. Oh my
I mean,
God.
I know
So I've never
Sally,
heard of the
this
Whappers
is,
before.
but oh well, because so we work with Sally, right? Like, so,
Right. Sally
okay, so,
Fallon. Yeah.
the, after 2020, when the Wesley Price Foundation was supposed to have their big event, it was going to actually be in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Yeah, Atlanta. And then the Marriott sold them out because the governor was all down for it and everything, despite all of the, pandemic crap. The Marriott pulled out at the last minute. They
Wow.
paid the fines. And Dell was supposed to be speaking there, and they were doing a Vax presentation and blah blah blah. So instead, Joel Soliton hosted the Wapper thing. We did a small mini 200 people gathering on the farm, and
Wow.
that was when I met Dell and everybody there. Because
Hmm.
I told Dell, I said, like Polly and them have been to the house. I said, but I just didn't meet you, and I wanted to, like out of the whole team, we were able to meet everybody between the two different trips or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I told him, I go, Polly's the reason I wrote my book. Polly is the
Wow.
reason. Polly's the reason I wrote my book. She's the reason why I tried to podcast, because she's like, you need to have your own show. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, girl, I don't know. She said, you need to be on Food Network. I'm like, they won't let me on Food Network, please.
Yeah, you need to create your own Food Network.
Yeah. She said, you need to be on Food Network. Cause well, she's eating our food, right? She was just like, you should be cooking on Food Network. I was
Yeah.
like, no, they do not want me on Food Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she is literally the reason. She goes, just keep doing it. You're doing good. And I was like, I have no media training. And she's like, you know the truth. Just keep talking.
Yeah.
I was
That's all
like,
we need is to keep banging that drum of truth because that's what it is.
yeah.
And you know what? It's like people are on their own on their own learning journey, but
Hmm.
it's like sometimes, it just clicks. So we've got to keep repeating and breaking through that cognitive dissonance, just like you were saying earlier, that,
Hmm.
we've been uh, programmed with lies and immorality, and now we've just got to break through that. And you know what?
Hmm.
I'm actually really happy. There's so many people that are starting. It's like popcorn. The
Yes.
analogy that I like to give is that
Hmm.
when you're making popcorn and
Yeah.
you've got it going and like the sizzle and it's starting to sizzle, and then
Hmm.
like, it
Pop.
popped and then it just keeps sizzling and sizzling and then pop, and then it's like
Yeah.
keep shaking the pan. You know what I mean? It just needs a
Yeah.
little more heat. And then next thing you know, it just
Pop it up,
reaches
pop,
that.
pop, pop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like that magic moment where it just, it's supernatural almost.
Yeah. It'll be good. I think that
Yeah.
I just think they need to feel, I think after all the things that have seemed to have happened with the assemblies, that they need something like just gelling, like
Hmm.
fun, and also like, and that's the other thing. We're on one coast and you're on the other coast. That's just cool. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be neat to see us doing something together.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, park this in your memory bank.
Hmm.
So you know how the Mayflower Compact is it's the genesis of our form of law.
Oh,
Um,
I did not know that.
yeah, it's in
What?
Anna's article called "Your Public Duty," one of my favorite articles.
Okay.
And so the Mayflower Compact is the genesis of our form of law.
Hmm.
And so I'm organizing a gigantic multi-state family reunion in
Ooh,
at the um, Faith Monument, also called the Forefathers Monument,
where's that?
for 11/11/2024. It's near Plymouth Rock. I think it's in Massachusetts. Let me just double check. You would think I would know because I'm like, I'm going to start organizing in January.
The Faith
Um,
Monument?
uh-huh.
Okay. And you think
And it
it's
is,
at Plymouth Rock? Okay.
it is, okay, 400th.org.
And is that just a lie too?
Yeah, because you know, the whole time they had us looking at you know, the Statue of Liberty, right? But
Um,
but there's this monument, and the whole point of the monument
mhm.
was a written, I mean, a sculptural representation of a roadmap of how to get back, how to get your country back if it ever gets stolen by the corporatists.
Oh,
And that's exactly what it is. And so he carved it on stone in Plymouth.
huh.
So isn't that Massachusetts? Like, where's
Plymouth Rock. It's somewhere around here because that was the other thing that I just keep telling people. I'm like, so we didn't even have any of the southern states in the original 13 colonies
Mm,
at the time of Abraham Lincoln's usurpment. So you can
mm.
just go to the French for that because that was part of um the French were the ones enslaving all the blacks in the South, not anybody else.
Well, and that actually, I didn't know that, but that makes perfect sense to me because they were
Uh-huh.
the ones that brought, you know, they gifted us the
Mm.
Statue of Liberty, right? And they have
The
this
French,
belief, yeah,
a sicko French, yeah.
and they apparently have this belief that there's no place for God in society. You
Oh,
know, like that
oh,
that God is a personal, only a personal thing, and has nothing to do with,
it is in
morality
Massachusetts,
and
by the way. It is.
yeah.
Well, it has everything to do with morality. I mean, I guess, well, spirituality definitely. It's a universal law. Okay.
Yeah.
So morality is not relative, it is objective. And so I did a natural law series that I did on
Oh,
my
cool.
podcast because I'm telling you, I was just I did a whole conversation about the war against meat. And then,
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
I got super banned off of YouTube for doing that. But I love that I don't get banned for talking with Anna. I get banned for talking about the war against me. I got banned for talking about some of the natural law stuff. Okay. I was getting dings and bans and whatever. But I talked to Anna, nothing, zero.
Isn't that funny?
I was like, wow. Anna's calm knowledge of the truth just doesn't even trigger an algorithm anywhere. It's like incredible, you know? I was like, this is so fun. Yeah, it's literally in Massachusetts. So you want to do this one?
Um,
1111?
yeah, because okay, so the Mayflower Compact was drafted, it was autographed in on 11/11/1620. And
Oh.
so next year, we missed it this year. In other words, I didn't even have the idea until interviewing the Pennsylvania Assembly
Oh.
with Tammy Healy.
Oh.
And it was like this idea of like I wanted to share, and they were the first people I shared the idea with. And then it was like, yeah, let's let's
Wow.
do an assembly reunion celebrating the birth of our nation, really, because that was the source of it. That was the place where they
Yeah.
said, we're going to honor that without God, we got nothing. You know what I mean?
Wow. Right.
So,
Okay, well, I'm
and
gonna put that
I
on.
don't mean a religion, right? It's I
Right.
mean I mean
I
God,
get
like,
it. Yes, I do.
so
Yeah.
the impetus is that. And now whether, two of us show up or 10,000 of us show up, it really is just for me an outward demonstration of our commitment to the restoration of America, because
Hmm.
the whole point of this statue is that it's the guide it's almost like the guide stones, the cornerstones of
Oh,
of restoring America if we ever got lost. And we did. So let's,
we totally were lost.
yeah.
It wasn't even 5 years. Like we were only 5 years old. We really didn't know what we were doing. Oh my gosh.
Well, but you know what we can learn from the past is
Yeah.
making sure that we know what to look for, which is when these people want to get into contracts, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
And if we
yes.
give them permission to use the names, et cetera, it's like, we may not want to do that.
So this is the reason why we want to keep practice talking
Mm-hmm.
so that it becomes our day-to-day vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we read about these things, we listen to stuff, whatever, but we're not often talking about it.
Yeah.
So that was why. Anyway, I have to go,
All right. Well, this was
but I'm
awesome.
having fun hanging out, talking with you and meeting you. So
Yeah,
thank you.
likewise. Fellow, awesomeness warrior out there doing everything that you can do, Yeah.
Especially with it's nice to be able to talk to you about our other past life with the health freedom movement. And I'm really sad. I want to get them all on board. I think that we'll be able to get them on board once we are funded and we can fund the farms. Because I know that Joel will be on board. I mean, I'm not talking to him or bringing him on board. I'm bringing them all on board once we can have the funding. And then I want to, all I'm going to do is go and try to secure farms across the country. Because
Awesome.
that's all I was doing before. Like that is my job, my work. Like that and so that's just all I want to focus on. I'm like, Americans shouldn't be eating all this crap. Like, I don't know. They're gonna eat whatever they want anyway, but like they should have the opportunity to have real stuff. And the only wealth of our nation is our soil. And
Right.
you cannot preserve that without livestock. Full
Right.
stop. Full stop. There's no
Now, can
garden.
livestock
There's no
can
garden gonna do that, okay?
can livestock live in every climate? I mean,
Yes.
so like they could survive in the desert.
Yes.
Really?
Livestock can convert all those things. And all of our areas that are decertified, like Nevada, we can
Right.
do it from the outside in.
Wow. Yeah.
We can reverse all the raping of the lands. All the deserts that we have is because of the mismanagement of the land, of the livestock, of the animals.
Wow.
You cannot have plants without animals, period, full stop. And we're not supposed to eat plants, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that. I like eat everything,
I
I'm like,
did until I got into a lot of pain and I lost a child and all this other stuff.
yeah.
And then I was telling Anna, I said I had 3 autoimmune conditions, so I can tell you all about it.
Oh my
But,
word.
and then, that's all I do is work with families doing that. So that's all I've been doing for 15 years. And so, and so obviously that was how I ended up dealing with the meeting Polly and all them, like that's how I came
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And so, but yeah, if I wasn't fighting for us to have the land, I wouldn't have found my way to this. So,
Well, you know what I love is that um there's so many different ways that people find that this is the solution. And that is
right.
for me, it's
Yeah.
just more evidence that that's why this is the solution.
The solution, right. I know. That's what we were talking about that. I said, it doesn't matter if you were coming from some people are going to get it from the banking side, like Dominic was in banking. Okay. I'm like, some
Mhm.
people are going to get it from he was in banking and he was going to go into politics after he retired. And he actually
Yeah,
went to try to go do that. And it was like, he was like, I have been sitting already in DC in the middle of the chaos. And he's
yeah.
like, I already know how these people work.
Oh, it's an absolute, complete and total dog eat dog cesspool. It's like survival and that's it. And you know what? Nobody trusts anybody. There's no such thing as trust. It's
Well,
all
That's why
back
we want to
by
bring that's why
the-
we want to do this talking. We need to get
Yeah.
everybody back to understanding what it means to have grace. We
Yeah.
need, like what Anna was saying, no guts, no glory.
Hmm.
Like, stop being a crybaby, like, stand
Yep.
up.
Yep.
So that's what the
Yep.
practice is for. So I'll, is it okay for me to add you to my phone text, and we just like
Yeah.
text?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times we'll just be doing whatever, and I'll just be like, "Hey, can you do it tonight?" Like, me and Cynthia will try to figure out. She's gone, and I want to try to do it after we record on Tuesday sometime.
Mm.
If you can, I don't know. We're walking into the holidays, so you might just be really busy.
Yeah.
So
Next
yeah,
week, and then just on the other side of Christmas, it's kind of a wild week. But
sure.
after that, I've got a lot more. Dare I say flexibility? Not really, but
I mean,
higher
all
probability.
all of us are going crazy, but usually what Cynthia and I'll do, we're trying to figure out a couple of nights that we can do it, that
Hmm.
it would make sense. But like, obviously you're hosting Thursday night, so we don't want to do it then.
Yeah.
So,
And Wednesdays we have our general assembly call.
oh, okay. So maybe we try maybe Friday, because we have
Yeah.
our general assembly is Tuesday.
Fridays would actually be the best for me. We do have our
Oh,
law education. Our elected justice is leading jury training classes. What
hmm.
it's like to be a juror in a common law court as opposed to a
Wow.
juror in a de facto court, and
Mm-hmm.
just training them about how things are so different, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that we do is based on law. It's not statutes and codes and all that other
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's so she does that from 4 p.m. Pacific until usually about 5:30 or 6, but I don't know how late that would end up being. Like, I mean, I don't have to stay the whole time, but I like to
Yeah.
um learn and
No,
observe.
that sounds
But
good.
after
Well,
that I could hop in. You guys would probably be in progress already, but I could hop in, you know.
yeah. I mean, if you can hop in, it's very cash. It's not going to be like, and it's not all recorded or anything. So I just want everybody to see that we're all working together, because
That's great. Yeah.
we should be working together,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
There's no competition. There's only love,
Yeah.
you
There's
know,
nothing to compete over. We're all finally actually equal, or whatever.
or whatever. It's like, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's the truth. We all need to be working on it together. I love that you guys, I love this. I want to learn more as you get ready to do that. We would want to help and be a part of it too.
Super cool.
Sounds fun.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Great to meet you. Thank you for
Nice to
inviting me to
meet.
hang out with you tonight. And
I'm glad you could do it and it worked out, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. All
likewise, thank you. All right.
right.
Bye,
Thank you.
Niti.
Bye. We'll have fun. Oh, I'm tired now. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's like 9 o'clock here.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like,
I have to remember that it's totally a different time zone for you. All right.
all
I
right.
won't keep you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.